You know that feeling, right? That little spark of defiance the second someone tells you you should or you have to, or maybe you've seen a friend do the exact opposite of what you suggested. Well, it turns out that's a super common thing, and we're about to dive into the really fascinating psychology behind why so many of us hate being told what to do.
So, just for a second, think about it. What's your gut reaction when you get advice you didn't ask for? Do you lean in and listen, or does some part of you immediately want to push back? That little feeling of resistance? That's exactly what we're talking about today.
So what's really happening in that moment? Most of the time, we just write this off. We label someone or even ourselves as just being stubborn or difficult. But what if it's not a character flaw at all? What if it's actually a clue? Psychology tells us it's a sign of something much, much deeper going on inside our brains.
And that brings us to the first big idea here. We really have to reframe this whole thing. It's not about someone wanting to be difficult. It's about a core fundamental human need, and that need is called autonomy.
So what is autonomy? Well, it's that deep-seated need to feel like you're in the driver's seat of your own life, right? To feel like you're in control of your choices. And here's the really important part. While we all have this need, for some people, that need is dialed way, way up. It's a much stronger driving force for them. So for a person with that super high need for autonomy, a simple command isn't just a helpful suggestion. It feels completely different. It can feel like a direct threat to their sense of self, to their very independence. Their brain isn't hearing, "This might be helpful." It's hearing, "I'm trying to take away your control."
And guess what? Psychology actually has a name for this exact response. It's called psychological reactance. It's the brain's automatic, almost knee-jerk reaction to push back against anything it sees as a threat to its freedom. This isn't a conscious choice to be defiant. It's a built-in defense mechanism designed to restore that feeling of autonomy.
And this quote just nails that feeling perfectly, doesn't it? The second someone says you have to do this, even if it was something you were literally just about to do anyway, a switch just flips in your brain. And all you can think is, oh yeah? Now I really don't want to. That's psychological reactance, right there in a nutshell. It's that powerful push to reclaim your freedom of choice.
All right, so this powerful need for autonomy and the reactance it creates, it all leads to a very particular way of thinking. So let's move on and see how this builds into what you could call a self-directed mind. We're going to break down the specific traits that come along with it.
See, someone with a self-directed mind doesn't just hear an order and follow it. Their internal process is way more involved. First, they need to analyze the situation on their own terms. Then, they'll naturally start to question the instructions, the hidden assumptions. After that, they have to evaluate all the options for themselves before, and only before, they form their own conclusion and make a decision. So it looks like resistance from the outside is actually a really deep process of independent thinking.
And a couple of other key traits grow out of this. These folks place a huge value on personal responsibility. They want to own their choices and their outcomes because, success just feels so much more meaningful when it comes from a decision they made themselves. And they're also highly sensitive to control. They have this kind of finely tuned radar for power dynamics, and they can spot an attempt to manipulate or dominate them from a mile away, which of course just triggers that reactance all over again.
Okay, let's pull all of this together now. It's time to stop looking at this trait as a negative and instead see it through a new, much more empowering lens. This is all about finding the power that's hidden inside that resistance.
So if there is one single thing you take away from all this, please let it be this. This kind of resistance is not a character flaw. It's more like a psychological signature. It's the brain's own security system for its independence.
So, let's make this shift totally clear. Instead of seeing someone as stubborn, we can choose to see them as independent. Instead of calling them difficult, we can see them as self-directed. And instead of defiant, we can understand that they are simply protecting their autonomy. I mean, framing it that way really changes the whole picture, doesn't it?
And all of that leaves us with one last question to chew on. Now that you have this new way of looking at things, this understanding of autonomy and psychological reactance, how does it change the way you see yourself? Or maybe just as important, how does it change the way you see that stubborn friend or that difficult family member in your life? It's a pretty powerful thought to sit with.